Thank you again.
Yeah.
I love this seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun here. And I have a lot of fun on this ship. I really, truly enjoy all of the people that I meet.
Yeah.
What I want to talk about a little bit is traveling with other companions in a co-creative way. And I like going down a highway with the rumble strip on my left, but sometimes I'm driving with someone that likes the rumble strip on the right. And
Trying to tell us that you're in the fast lane?
Yeah, I love the fast lane. I can operate better in a lot of ways. I can figure out a truck doing 70 and another truck doing 60, and doing 100 I can make the window, but doing 95 miles an hour, the gap closes and you can't get by. And I get that. When I'm trying to be accommodating to others and driving in the right lane, I'm easily distracted and I lose focus. There goes a bird, or there, oh, look at that plant, or, and I'm all over the place.
Well, it's logical, isn't it? The faster you go, the more awareness is prudent. If you're not going very fast, you can be lackadaisical and not focused. But the faster you go, the more you are inspired to focusing. We think that's natural and good to acknowledge.
And that's where I question myself with when we're having planned rendezvous. There's a sense of reasonable expectation that two people are going to meet at a particular place. And the frustration that I get sometimes is, having these reasonable expectations is the way I like to phrase it. When they're not met, I just go nuts. The first time or second time or a couple times, and there's some things that are plausible reasons as why things can happen, but I find myself trusting less, and I guess that's the key for me.
Well, we understand what you're getting at, and certainly there is a physical world that you live in where you can come to agreements with one another. In other words, law of attraction orchestrates rendezvous, and the high-flying disc orchestrates rendezvous, and being in the receiving mode inspires behavior that accomplishes rendezvous. But if you are living in the world that most of you are living in, where you are agreeing to meet up with whoever at this time and this place, that's not exactly the law of attraction inspired rendezvous that we talk about all day, every day, is it?
No.
And it's not the fast lane either.
Oh, no.
The fast lane really is getting into vibrational alignment. It's kind of like the fun we were having earlier when we said, get happy and then see what happens. Esther often wants to leave her calendar open. There are so many things that are scheduled and so many places that when she says she's going to be here, she's going to be here. And you will not find her walking out on the stage 1 second after the time that she has told you that she is going to be here. But it does not hinder her, and she does not feel irritated if you don't show up at the same time. In other words, people walk in whenever they walk in. But aside from these scheduled things, which are a big part of her experience, she really likes watching the universe orchestrate circumstances and events. So often, she just doesn't want to schedule anything because she wants, these are her words, I want the universe to show me its magical way. I want to feel the magic of what this day can provide for me, because I can't plan it anywhere close to what the universe knows, because I don't know exactly what's in my vortex or exactly what the proximity of anything that's in there is to me and where I am. And so it's a trusting the vortex to orchestrate the process, you see. One time on a stage, it might even have been this stage, it was many cruises ago, we were having this discussion with some people, and we made a statement that was upsetting to some of the regulars. They said, oh, Abraham left the rails today, because we were talking about there are some things that are really not so much law of attraction based, and those that we've been teaching that law of attraction is everything just sort of freaked out. Some of them never came back. They're still gone. They never recovered from the leading edge discussion that we were wanting to have. But what we were wanting them to understand is that there's a difference between getting out your date book and filling up your calendar and allowing the universe to orchestrate things. When you go to a family reunion, You haven't said necessarily, I'm going to tune into my highest receptive mode and I'm going to go where the inspiration leads me. You're usually saying, I'm going to do the most god-awful thing I can think of and go be with people that I'd rather die than be with. And then you go and wonder why you're not having a really good time at the family reunion. Now, that was extreme, but we got it from you. So when you understand that there's a difference between putting something on your calendar, there's a difference between doing something out of obligation, there's a difference between the receptive mode of inspiration and the receptive mode of obligatory, or the receptive mode of needing to cheer someone up. Receptive modes are all over the vibrational gamut, aren't they?
Yes.
Helpful?
Yes. I'm finding myself now in the process of driving, for the analogy, with someone that'd rather be with the rumble strip on the right. I don't necessarily can operate that well in that particular lane, but I don't mind going along for the ride as long as they're driving in that lane. If you know what I'm trying to say, then I can observe and I can enjoy and I relax a whole lot more.
Well,
because we're both going in the same direction.
We think it would be helpful for you to, for a little while, to acknowledge the absolute reality that you are all in your individual vehicles.
Okay.
You just are. And so even with the people who you adore, they're in their vehicle. And you can be in two separate lanes, and one of you can be going faster and one of you can be slower, and rarely are you really on the same track. And that's all right. And really, it's a sort of vulnerable receptive mode that makes you hook up with each other so much anyway. You came into this experience flying solo, even if you were quintuplets. You came into this experience flying solo, in the sense that you've got your point of focus that you can rendezvous with whatever you are choosing to rendezvous with. No one can hold you back, but your perception that you're being held back can. No one can slow you down, but your perception that you're being slowed down can. And, oh, it's such a natural assumption, because you know what it feels like to fly high, and you know what it feels like to fly fast. And that is certainly, of course, your preference. And when you're not doing that, something feels like it has gone wrong. And the first thing that mostly you want to do is look around and figure out what has gone wrong. And it's usually whoever's closest. It's usually something that's going on around you. But if you can resist the urge to define an outward exterior reason for it, and instead you can bring it back to your own thinking, even if it is your own thinking about something like that, then you're off and running again. We don't blame you for liking the fast lane, and we don't blame you for wanting to fly high. That feels the best. And once you do it a little bit, you can't stand anything else, you see. But there's so much potential for you to do it in so many ways, with so many opportunities. Yeah. And the universe is ripe in every moment of your experience. There are those opportunities that are ripe for the plucking. And the more you just relax. So what we're really saying to you is something that you want us to say to you. The less you try to orchestrate things. This is where we began a few days ago, when we were talking about the difference between thought and words and vibration and feeling. And we were talking about, just for a little while, focus more on the feeling and watch what happens. This is why. Because sometimes you get so tangled in your thoughts that you sort of lose your sense of where you are in relationship to everything. And so we want you to more often go into that emotional place, which by the conversation we had today is almost that sensory deprivation tank that our friend was talking about, where you give yourself a little bit of an opportunity not to be so responsive and so reactive to what's going on around you, so that you can reset your happy meter. Yeah. Helpful?
Very much so.
Something more?
I got to ask it, because sometimes I really like to do it. I like going across the rumble strip to pass the person in front of me. Sometimes I like going out of the box. Sometimes I like to feel the sense that I've done something that no one else has done before. And that's what I'm really mean about passing on the rumble strip. It's sort of like, I don't want to let anybody hold me back. And I just want to get out there and just do what I like to do.
Well, nobody can hold you back, and in reality there are no real lanes in the way we're defining it. The rumble strip idea, the whole idea of lane in this conversation, as we always say, analogies always have some fatal flaw, and you just showed us what it is. But there are no lanes. What you are defining here, and it's really worth having a conversation about, is that in the socialization of trying to get yourself to blend with others, there is a limitation that sort of tramples your toes of freedom, that then makes you sort of resentful and rebellious. We're really off in the weeds now as we continue to talk like that. And so when you get that impulse to do something, just ask yourself, where's the impulse coming from? Is it high flying? Is it exhilarating? Is it a feeling of exhilaration, or is it a feeling of rebellion? And the way you described it and what we were feeling from you as you said it, it's that feeling of being tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and wanting to just go. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You all did much more of that when you were teenagers. You all did much more of that when you were younger. You just get old and dull. You become conformists, and conformity and inspiration are entirely different things, you see. Entirely different things. Enough?
Very much so, yes.
Really good.
Yes.
Really good. Yeah.